Hello, for today's demonstration, I'm going to be talking about paper. Paper is a very important consideration in printmaking. And one of the things that you'll notice this semester on your paper, specifically for the Reeves BFK, the heavy duty printmaking paper that you're going to use, it has a nice deckled edge. You can see that deckled edge there, as opposed to a machine cut edge. So what I'm going to demonstrate today is how to tear down or size this paper. This sheet of paper is 22 inches by 30 inches. So you're going to make smaller sheets to make smaller prints for this first series, and actually most of your series this semester. Whether it's monotype, collagraphs, etching, or woodcut, you're going to tear these down. So one way to do this is to cut it with an X-Acto knife or cut it on a paper cutter, but then you would lose that beautiful deckled edge. So instead I'm going to show you how to tear the paper, and this is going to size it but also fit in with the aesthetic of printmaking to have that nice decorative edge or deckled edge. This is a tear bar. Essentially what it is a weighted ruler. It's really, really heavy. It's stainless steel. It has a nice straight edge to it. We hang this in the sink room, so please do not ever use this as a straight edge, because we want to make sure that edge stays really, really clean, because it's going to be against the edge of your paper. And if you were to draw with a Sharpie or draw with charcoal pencil, it's going to leave a messy edge on the tear bar, but then also on your paper. So to begin, what you're going to do is measure off how you want to cut your paper. And since this is 22 by 30, I'm going to split it into 4 sections, 4 even sections. I'm going to quarter my paper, so that would be 11 by 15. So I'm going to make a little mark at 15 here, a little mark here at 15, so that way I can line up as a guide with the tear bar on those 2 pencil marks. Another way of doing it that a lot of people like to use to make sure it's equidistant in the middle is you could match up your corners like this, grab the paper evenly and neatly, and then find, boom, where that middle section is, and put a crease on it. Do the same thing on the bottom. I'm gonna use my pencil marks though, for the sake of this. And you'll see I just made 2 little pencil marks, one there, one there. I don't have to draw a pencil line completely down. That's just going to add stuff to my paper that's going to be difficult to remove later. So I'm going to line this up, tear bar on those 2 little pencil marks that I made at 15 inches. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold down, put pressure onto the tear bar with my left arm, kind of placing the weight of my shoulder into it, grab this free corner towards the top. This part is protected. I'm going to make sure the ruler isn't moving, the tear bar isn't moving, and I'm just going to gently, little by little, and if you don't feel like you can do it all the way across, you can always set it back down, pick up in another section, and then without moving the tear bar, tear all the way across, okay? So I've done that half now. I'm going to do it in half again. So I'm going to take this horizontal and, would that be hamburger or hot dog? I didn't learn that way. I suppose that would be hamburger. And I'm going to measure here. So this one's 22. One thing to notice is there's a little bit of a gap before the 0 starts. So make sure you're actually putting the edge of your paper on the 0 as opposed to the edge of the tear bar. And this is actually quite a bit more than 22, so it's going to be a little bit more than 11. So I'm going to put a mark here. So I can do 11 by 15 sheet of paper. And again, just like the first time. And here I've lined up both sheets of paper. As long as they're lined up fairly evenly, I can use that same measurement. I don't have to tear these down separately. I'm going to hold down here, tear against that with one. Don't try to cut 2 sheets at once. Take the other one and use that. Kind of grab the free end, pull against the tear bar all the way across. Boom, beautiful. And you can see with this, there's a nice, beautiful deckled edge that you can see on each of these sides. So it has that same aesthetic. Remember to hang this back up in the sink room. If we leave it out in Falderson, it's more likely to get used inadvertently as a ruler instead of a tear bar. But you can see my 4 sheets of paper now are nice and even. One of the things that I wanted to talk about is the aesthetics of printmaking. You can see with this print here has a nice intentional, this is an etching, a nice intentional border, right? So think about in this class how you're going to use the paper. And generally as a convention of printmaking and also in framing, matting and framing, generally we leave a little bit of extra space at the bottom so the image does not appear like it is sinking down. So for instance, if you put 2 inches here, 2, 2, and then 2 here, it'll actually look like there's less than 2 inches down there. So we do 2, 2, 2 inches here, and maybe 3 down here. And this is where you then sign it. It would be how many of the total edition you have. Say you did 5 prints, you'd do 1 of 5, 2 of 5, 3 of 5 for each one of those subsequent prints. You title it in the middle and sign it on the right. Sign and dating. If you sign your print, we do this in pencil as opposed to pen because it's archival. Pen is not. It eats away at the paper over time. And if you are to date your print when you finish it and when you sign it, that acts as good as copyright law in the United States. So this one, I wanted to show you the nice even border, and look at that clean border. No fingerprints, no mess or anything, looks good. Now this one by comparison doesn't have the paper left as the border, but you can see this artist used part of the image itself to be a border to frame it. And here they signed it in the black with a gold colored pencil as opposed to a graphite colored pencil. You can see this was an off-white sheet of paper and they printed on there. This, when the image extends all the way to the edge of your print, is called a bleed print because the image bleeds off of the paper and there's no border. But I want you to think about how these 3 artists here all used the space and the convention of printmaking differently, but all very interesting and creative. So different ways of thinking about how to use the sheet of paper, but I want you to be very intentional. This was a piece of Bristol, so it has hard edges, it has machine cut edges, and these ones are all printmaking paper, so they have that nice deckled edge. So I want you to be thinking about how your image fits into the sheet of paper itself. So that is our first demonstration, how to tear your paper and to think about the materials that you're using. Thanks. Peace.